Grandmaster Matthias Bluebaum just shook the chess world. He qualified for the Candidates Tournament, the most important event in chess, by beating some of the strongest players on the planet without losing a single game. Until recently, most fans had barely heard of him. Now he's a celebrity. Today, I'll show you one of his most beautiful games, played almost 10 years ago. This will be fun. Hey guys, so this game was played back in 2016 at the Aeroflot Open in Moscow, Russia, between Matthias Bluebaum, our current hero, and Anton Korobov, a very strong Ukrainian grandmaster, one of the top grandmasters of this time. Matthias is playing with the white pieces, and you will see a masterpiece. So get ready, let's go. So we have a normal opening, the Slav defense. The Slav defense is when black puts the pawn on c6 after c4, the queen's gambit. Here we have the accepted variation, a4, all standard, bishop f5. I've played like this sometime when I was a kid. It's a very well-known line. Knight e5 is one of the moves, knight d7, and now the knight, having finished this maneuver, takes the pawn back. Now pawn number is equal, both sides try to develop, and white is somewhat better. Knight b6 is also a book move. Knight e5, now these knights continue their maneuvers. a5. a5 is generally a useful move when your opponent wants to push the a pawn and kick the knight from b6, where it's not feeling too great. So a5, e3, I think this is all still theory. e6, g4. g4 attacks the bishop, and the bishop now has to move back. Bishop moves back to g6, and now h4. So the idea is to catch this bishop with h5, and the bishop will have no square to go to. If it goes here, which is the only square, because yes, it's attacked by the knight, but also protected by the knight. But then we have f3, continuing harassment of this bishop. If it goes to, let's say black does something like queen e7, like a nothing move. h5 here, f3. Here, e4, and the bishop is trapped. That's funny, because this is controlled twice by the knight and the bishop. And this square is controlled by the queen, and that square is controlled by the rook. So the bishop has no squares. So of course, queen e7 is not the move black chooses. Black goes, after h4, black goes bishop d6. And it's a mistake, but it's very hard to know that this is a mistake. And I'm not sure if Matthias was in his prep, still had this in his home preparation, the line that happened. Probably he did, because it's very non-obvious what he did here. Pay attention. So why did black go bishop d6? Bishop d6 had a purpose of taking on e5 after h5. So that's exactly what happened. So h5, bishop here, f3, and now black thought that black can take on e5. And if white takes the bishop, black takes the queen. And now suddenly the bishop will be able to take on f3, attacking also the rook and all those pawns. And it seems that black is winning material. But I think that this was analyzed in advance by Matthias, because this sequence of moves is, wow, impressive. Knight takes queen, bishop takes f3. Now the knight hangs for black, but also the rook for white hangs, and probably from afar Matthias's opponent, Anton Korobov, was expecting something like maybe rook h3 or some other move, but not the brilliancy that happened on the board. E takes f6, brilliant move according to the engine, sacrificing the rook in the corner. The idea here is that white takes on g7, taking the rook. Black has to go here, and now white goes h6. And these pawns are so monstrous that they fully compensate for the sacrificed exchange, because currently black is up material. Black has a rook for a bishop. So black is 2 pawns up technically, 2 points of material up, but black is lost, hopelessly lost, because of the power of those pawns. This is all like cold shower for black, obviously. And I think Matthias made no mistakes in this game. He played it with engine-like precision. So bishop e4 drops back. It's not clear that black is losing if I don't see the eval bar, this thing at the left side of the screen. If I don't see the computer evaluation, I might ask, What is there for white to do here? I don't see any concrete plan. I saw a plan of going bishop d3 and then taking on h7 and somehow trying to promote this pawn, but black has gone bishop e4, preventing this. What's there to be so scared about? Why is the engine screaming that it's winning for white? Let me show you. Knight f2. So first of all, putting pressure on this bishop. Bishop drops back because it has to stay on this diagonal, gluing together black's position. Now e4. e4 is a move that blunts this bishop. Now this bishop has no squares. It has nowhere to go. Still, it's continually harassed. You remember this point in the game when h4 happened, and h4 had the plan of harassing this bishop, and still it's not getting out of all this. After all the simplifications, all the trades, the bishop is still harassed, and now it has no squares. So what does black do? First gets the knight into the game, and then goes f6. At least maybe the bishop will get activated via this diagonal. Maybe in future, or maybe the king goes here and the rook joins the action. Black has to do something, not just wait, stand idly. Long castles, knight e5, and now bishop d4. And now just look how Matthias realizes his advantage. Very fast, very smooth, very effective play by white. So black goes rook d8. What does white do? Just trades the bishop for the knight, because the knight, so here they trade the rooks as well, so the knight was the only active piece for black, and that rook on d8 that got traded. Also, they were two active pieces for black. Now this rook is not active at all. It's staying on the 8th rank, just waiting for something to happen, and this bishop has no squares. And now it has the f7 square, but it's not a good square, obviously. It can somehow in future maybe get some scope, but it will take a lot of time. In the meantime, this rook is too vulnerable. Those pawns are too menacing, and it's completely winning for white. Just in 5 moves, black resigned. See how it happened. So g5. Now bishop e2. Now seemingly the rook now can activate and the king can control this square, but it doesn't help really. Check. b5. Now white can move in a variety of ways, but what white does here is very impressive in my opinion. Bishop f3. What's the purpose of the move bishop f3? I wouldn't have thought of this move. Maybe on first instinct, definitely wouldn't have thought. Overprotecting this pawn. Now it's never going to be taken and the bishop will never get active. That's the point. Takes. Yes, black took, by the way, another pawn. Black is now up 3 points of material. But white just goes knight g4. And after c5, yes, white can take this pawn, of course. But instead, knight f6. Now this rook will never ever be able to leave the defense of the g8 square. And the king will never ever be able to leave the defense of the square, because white will queen. And the bishop has no squares. So the king is stuck, glued to this. The rook is stuck. The rook can move, but only on this 8th rank. Only within the realms of the 8th rank. The king cannot move at all, because if it moves, then white wins the rook by queening. The bishop has no squares. It cannot move at all. So white is just winning. Black goes c4, and white goes king c2. Black goes rook b8, and white goes king c3, and black resigns, because black has nothing. It looks like black is up material, has a lot of extra material, but black can do nothing. For example, black can wait, of course, go here, 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 here. That's all black can do. In the meantime, white will be able to go bishop d1, rook here, bishop takes a4, and if rook here, bishop a8 check. That's the easiest way to win. Not the only one, but that's the easiest. And if rook takes, knight takes. And if king takes, we queen and win. And if the king doesn't take, then we go knight f6 and still queen, because the knight supports the pawn. So that's the impressive, effortless way to win against the 2700 rated GM. I was very impressed by this game. I started studying more of Matthias's games after seeing his recent successes. Please drop a comment if you want me to analyze more of his chess, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.